Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, articles, research, our own notes, and we really try to pull out the most important bits of knowledge, the key insights, basically giving you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. And today, wow, we're plunging into a field that's not just like growing fast, but it's fundamentally reshaping, well, everything. As Andrew Meng, the founder of DeepLearning.AI, famously put it, AI is the new electricity. It will transform and improve all areas of human life. That's a huge statement, right? And it really sets the stage perfectly for what we're talking about today. We're doing a deep dive into this incredibly useful guide by Andrew Ng himself. It's called How to Build Your Career in AI, a simple guide. And look, this isn't just us reading a book out loud. It's more like a carefully put together roadmap for finding your way in this, rapidly changing world of artificial intelligence and actually building a successful career in it. Our mission today is basically to squeeze out the most practical, the most actionable advice from this guide to help you, our listener, understand what it really takes to succeed in AI. Whether you're literally just starting out, or maybe you're looking to level up. Oh, and before we jump right in, just a quick note, this deep dive is brought to you by EasyMasterAI.com. Okay, so let's kick things off with that really bold idea from Andrew Ng. AI is the new literacy. That sounds massive. What does he actually, mean by that? How does that change things for someone thinking about getting into AI?
Yeah, it's a really powerful comparison he makes. He draws this parallel to how, reading and writing spread through society centuries ago. Eng's argument is that coding AI is the new literacy because it offers a fundamentally different way into coding, and often maybe even a more valuable one than traditional software engineering for a lot of people. See, with traditional coding, you're basically telling a computer exactly what to do, step by step.
Right, giving it instructions.
It's exactly. But with AI and data science, you're kind of teaching computers how to learn directly from data, how to extract knowledge and make decisions themselves. Think about it like this. A traditional programmer might build, say, a website, but someone whose main job isn't tech. Let's take his example, a pizza maker. Apparently he likes Hawaiian pizza.
Okay. A pizza maker.
Yeah. For them, learning AI and data science could offer immediate, real value. They could use a simple model, like linear regression, to get better at predicting demand, which means, optimizing staff rotors, ordering the right amount of ingredients, less waste, or predicting exactly how many Hawaiian pizzas to prep so customers don't wait as long.
Okay. I see.
So the power to pull insights from data, which is pretty much everywhere now, in almost everything we do, makes this kind of AI-focused coding really impactful across tons of different jobs. Often, honestly, much more so than traditional coding for roles outside pure tech.
That pizza example really makes it click. It's not just for, the big tech companies. It's about using data smarts in any business.
Yeah.
So, okay, if someone's inspired by that and wants to build a career here, the guide lays out this core framework. It's built on 3 main steps, right? And they kind of connect.
That's right.
What are they again? It's learning the basics, then doing projects, and finally finding a job. And he stresses it's not like a quick thing. It's more of a long game, maybe decades, where these steps just keep building on each other.
Precisely. And what makes AI careers so interesting and maybe a bit tricky is how different they are from more established fields. First off, AI is still pretty new. It's evolving super fast. So learning constantly isn't just a nice to have. It's absolutely essential. You just have to keep up.
Right. You can't just learn it once.
Exactly. Second, when you get to projects, figuring out that scope, estimating how long things will take, managing them, that can be really tough. AI projects are often really iterative. You might not know up front how long it'll take to get a model accurate enough, or how to deal with things like post-deployment drift, where a model's performance gets worse over time because the real-world data changes.
Yeah, that sounds tricky.
Plus, you're often working with people, stakeholders, who aren't AI experts. So communication and just setting expectations becomes way more complex. And then finally, the job market itself is still, figuring things out. Companies might not be totally sure what AI skills they actually need, so job titles and roles can be all over the place, which means you might actually have to sort of educate potential employers about what you do and the value you bring. That's quite different from, say, a standard software engineering job interview.
It definitely sounds like being adaptable and really good at communicating are absolute musts.
Yeah.
But beyond those 3 phases, learning, projects, job search, Andrew Ng really talks about something else that kind of runs through all of them. It's about building a community.
Yes, absolutely. He emphasizes the importance of building a supportive community, having, friends, colleagues, allies who you can help out and who can help you in return. He says it makes the whole journey much, much smoother. It doesn't matter if you're just starting or deep into your career. It's like this, yeah, like you said, an invisible current pushing you along.
Okay, so let's really dig into that first pillar then, learning, getting those foundational skills. When you're starting out, what does Andrew Ng say are the absolute must-haves, like the core technical stuff you need so you don't get overwhelmed?
Yeah, the guide is pretty clear on focusing your learning. You can't read every single paper, right?
Yeah.
So you can be strategic. The key areas for a technical ML career are, first, foundational machine learning skills. And this isn't just about like memorizing models, linear regression, logistic regression, neural nets, decision trees, clustering, anomaly detection, all that.
Okay.
It's really about understanding the core ideas underneath. Things like bias versus variance, how cost functions work, what regularization does to stop overfitting, different ways to optimize, and crucially, how to do error analysis, figuring out why your model isn't performing well.
Got it. So the why behind the models.
Exactly. Second, deep learning. This has become so central to modern AI, you really need some grasp of it. That means the basics of neural networks, computer systems loosely based on the brain, practical skills to make them work, like hyperparameter tuning.
Which is like tweaking the setting.
Yeah, exactly. Fine-tuning the model settings for best results. And being familiar with specific types, like convolutional networks for images and sequence models or transformers, which are the engines behind things like ChatGPT.
Okay, deep learning basics. What else?
Third, software development. Now, you can definitely contribute with just strong modeling skills, but your options really open up if you can write solid code for complex AI systems. This means programming basics, knowing your data structures, especially data frames. Think of them like supercharged spreadsheets for AI data,
Right.
algorithms, good software design habits, and knowing Python, plus key libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch for deep learning, and scikit-learn for more traditional ML.
Yeah.
And finally, relevant math. This means linear algebra, probability, statistics, understanding the basics there. He also points out exploratory data analysis, or EDA, as a really underrated skill. That's basically digging into your data first, looking for patterns, oddities, relationships before you build anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look before you leap.
Exactly. And for math, he mentions calculus. Having an intuitive feel for it is helpful, but, it's with things like automatic differentiation software now, the need for super deep theoretical calculus, like for inventing totally new neural net architectures, well, that's changed a bit. Okay, that's quite a list, but it feels like a solid path through a really big field. And you mentioned structure. The guide talks about why structured courses are often better than just, clicking around on random web pages. Why is that so important?
Yeah, it really boils down to efficiency and coherence. Look, the internet's amazing, tons of info, but learning deep topics from isolated web pages can be super inefficient. They repeat stuff, use different terms, the quality varies wildly, and crucially, they often leave big gaps in your understanding.
Yeah, I can see that. A well-designed course, though, presents everything in a logical order. It builds concepts step by step. It's just a much faster way to really get your head around a significant chunk of knowledge. Then, once you have that solid foundation from courses, diving into research papers or other bits and pieces online becomes way more useful because you actually have the context to understand and place that new information.
Right, build the foundation first. And it's not just what you learn, but also how consistently you learn, right? The guide really pushes this idea of being a lifelong learner, especially with AI changing so fast. How do you actually build that habit?
Yeah, that's key. It's about consistency over intensity. Andrew Ng brings up BJ Fogg's tiny habits idea, which I think is brilliant. The concept is start ridiculously small, something you could do every day, rather than setting some huge goal you'll probably fail at.
Like what?
Like for learning, maybe commit to watching just 10 seconds of an educational video every single day. Seriously, just 10 seconds.
10 seconds. That sounds almost pointless.
Well, the point isn't the 10 seconds itself. The point is building the habit of studying daily. Even if you learn nothing in those 10 seconds initially, you're showing up. And the cool thing is, often that tiny start just naturally flows into more. You sit down for 10 seconds, and suddenly it's an hour later, and you've actually learned something significant. It creates momentum.
I like that. Lower the barrier so much you can't not do it. Okay, so what about the big elephant in the room? For many people, the math question. The guide asks, should you learn math to get a job in AI? What's the verdict?
It's a really common question, and yeah, the answer is a bit nuanced. Look, more math is generally always good, right? But the depth you need really depends on what you'll actually be doing, the decisions you need to make. At DeepLearning.AI, they focus on what's essential for your goals, building a model, designing a system, acing an interview. Understanding the math behind the algorithms you use is often super helpful for debugging, for problem solving, especially with newer stuff. Like in deep learning, if your network isn't learning properly, understanding gradient descent or optimization algorithms can be key to fixing it.
Okay, so for troubleshooting.
Yeah, or if a model makes weird predictions on certain types of images, knowing the math of its structure can help you figure out why. But as some techniques get more mature and standardized, maybe a slightly shallower grasp of the underlying math might be enough for just applying them day to day. The main takeaway, though, is learn what helps you make better decisions. And maybe even more importantly, follow your curiosity. If some math concept seems cool, just go learn it. That curiosity often leads to the best insights anyway.
Curiosity driving learning. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so learning is covered. Let's move to pillar 2, projects. These are crucial, right? Your portfolio, your proof. Andrew Ng lays out a 5-step framework for scoping projects that actually make a difference. Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. This framework is all about making sure your project has real-world value. Step 1. Identify a business problem, not an AI problem. This means you resist just grabbing the latest cool AI tech and looking for a place to use it. Instead, go talk to a domain expert, someone who really knows the industry, and ask them, what are the top 3 things you wish worked better? Why don't they?
So start with the need.
Exactly. Like maybe you talk to power grid operators and they say they struggle to predict energy from wind and solar. That's a business problem. Step 2, brainstorm AI solutions. Don't just fixate on the first idea. Think about different ways AI could help. For the power example, maybe satellite images to map turbines or weather data for solar forecasts. Or maybe AI isn't the answer. That's okay too.
Right.
Step 3, determine milestones. And these shouldn't just be techie metrics like model accuracy. They need to include business metrics too, like potential revenue lift or better user engagement. A quick proof of concept often helps define these.
Makes sense. Tie it to business value.
Yeah. Step 4, assess feasibility and value. Is it technically doable? Look at research papers, see what competitors are doing, maybe build a tiny prototype. And is it valuable? Go back to those domain experts and ask them. And finally, step 5, budget for resources. Think broadly here: data, people, time, integrations with existing systems, getting support from other teams.
Wow. Okay.
And the key thing is, it's iterative. If you hit a wall at any step, say something's not feasible, you loop back to an earlier step with that new knowledge.
Yeah, that iterative nature seems really key. It's not just a straight line. So once you get this framework, how do you actually find projects that help your career grow?
Yeah, the guide gives some really practical advice there. First, start small. Gradually increase the scope and complexity. You don't need some earth-shattering idea right away. Lots of great careers start with small, personal projects.
Okay, don't bite off more than you can chew initially.
Right. Another way is to join existing projects. If someone else has a good idea, maybe you can jump in and contribute your skills. A huge tip is keep reading widely, but maybe even more importantly, talk to domain experts. That's where so many good practical ideas come from.
Yeah, those conversations seem vital.
And instead of trying to invent the next generation of AI tech, which is super hard and expensive, maybe focus on applying existing AI to areas where it hasn't been used much yet. That can lead to really unique, valuable work. And finally, the side hustle idea. Andrew Ng mentions his own online education work started as just a fun side project. Silicon Valley's full of stories like that, right? Passion projects turning into big things.
Definitely. So let's say you have a few project ideas. How do you choose the best one for your next move? Is there a checklist?
Yeah, there's a simple checklist in the guide. Ask yourself, will this project help me grow technically? Is it challenging, but, still doable? Do I have good teammates or maybe mentors I can bounce ideas off and discuss problems with? That support system is really important. And crucially, can this project be a stepping stone to bigger, more impactful things later on? You're trying to build that progression in your portfolio.
Got it. Build that ladder. Now, Andrew Ng talks about 2 different styles of tackling projects: ready, aim, fire versus ready, fire, aim. What's the difference there?
Yeah, they're quite distinct. Ready, aim, fire is about careful planning, lots of validation before you commit significant resources. You want high confidence before you pull the trigger. This is best when execution is expensive or maybe the decision is hard to reverse. Like if you're deciding between several big money applications for a chatbot, say airlines versus hospitals, you do a lot of upfront research.
Okay, measure twice, cut once.
Pretty much. Then there's ready, fire, aim. This is more about jumping into development quickly. You build something minimal, get it out there, learn from what happens, and then pivot or adjust.
Okay.
This works best when trying things out is cheap and changing course isn't a disaster. Building ML models often fits this. The cost of training a basic model and seeing how it does isn't usually that high. So you build a quick end-to-end version, maybe show it to users, get feedback, learn, and then iterate. It's not just one shot. It's like ready, fire, aim, fire. A cycle of fast learning.
A rapid iteration cycle. Love it. So when you're building that portfolio over time, what does that progression look like?
You usually start simple, class projects, maybe homework assignments, which are usually quite narrowly defined. Then you move to personal projects, maybe re-implementing a known algorithm from scratch, applying ML to a hobby you have, or jumping into Kaggle competitions online.
Getting your hands dirty on your own time.
Exactly. The next big step is projects that create real tangible value. Often this happens as part of your job, where you get access to more resources, real data, real stakes. And then throughout your career, you're ideally aiming for projects with increasing scope and complexity. The guide really stresses, though, don't worry if you start small. Even making a neural net mimic a simple Syntax function can teach you a ton.
Right, every step is learning. And beyond just the technical side of projects, what else is important?
Communication comes up again, big time. You need to be able to explain your ideas, the value of your project, especially to people who aren't AI experts. That's how you get buy-in, resources, get colleagues on board.
Makes sense. You gotta sell the vision.
Absolutely. And leadership isn't just for managers. Technical leaders can guide projects with their insights, knowing when to push for a new approach, or when the real bottleneck is actually just getting better data. It's about steering things with your expertise and clear explanations.
Great points. Okay, let's shift to the third pillar, job search. This can feel pretty intimidating, especially entering AI from somewhere else. What's Eng's framework for navigating this?
The main idea here is that it's usually way easier to switch just one thing at a time, either your role or your industry, but not both at once.
Okay, one change at a time.
Yeah. So if you're, say, an analyst in finance wanting to do AI, maybe first try to become a data scientist within finance. You use your existing industry knowledge while you build AI skills. Then, once you have that AI experience, moving to an AI role in a tech company is a less traumatic second step.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way. You can become an analyst at a tech company first, using your analysis skills in a new industry. Then, once you're inside, pivoting to an AI role there might be easier. And the guide also mentions startups. They can sometimes be more flexible about roles. They often just appreciate anyone who can help with AI stuff, even if it's not your official title. That can be a great way to get experience.
That's really smart strategic thinking for managing career changes. Now, job searching always involves uncertainty. Andrew Ng suggests something called scenario planning. How does that help?
Yeah, it's a really useful tool, psychologically and practically, for dealing with uncertainty. It's basically a four-step process. 1, list plausible scenarios. Just accept you don't know exactly what will happen. Like maybe you imagine a quick, medium, or slow economic recovery if the market's shaky. 2, create a plan of action for each scenario. What would you do in each case? 3, start doing things that make sense across multiple scenarios. These are your no regrets actions, things that are probably good ideas regardless.
Okay.
And 4, review your plans regularly. As things actually start happening and the future gets clearer, you adjust. Eng apparently used this himself during the pandemic. It just helps you feel more in control and navigate whatever comes your way.
Definitely sounds like it reduces anxiety. Another tool mentioned is the informational interview. You said they're underused. What are they and why are they so useful in AI?
Right, informational interviews. They're basically just informal chats with people in roles or companies you're interested in. The key is you're not asking for a job. You're just asking for information, for advice.
Okay, pure learning mode.
Exactly. And they're super important in AI because, like we said, job titles can mean totally different things. Data scientists here might be doing reports, while over there, they're deploying complex models. These chats help you figure out what people in a specific role actually do all day, what tools or algorithms they really use, how they deploy things, how much time they spend just cleaning data, which is often a lot, that whole data-centric AI thing.
So you get the real story, not just the job description.
Precisely. And you can ask really practical stuff. What's a typical week like? What skills are really critical? How does the team work together? What's their hiring process like? What makes someone stand out in an interview?
Okay, where do you find people to talk to?
We'll start with your own network. Friends, colleagues, former classmates. Attend meetups. Eng mentions his Pi and AI events specifically. And you can reach out respectfully online, maybe LinkedIn. Just be polite, professional, clear you're seeking information, not a job immediately, and always, always send a thank you note afterwards.
And the guide suggests, pay it forward later when you're established.
Great practical advice. So when you actually get to the point of finding the right job for you, what are some final tips from the guide?
Okay, first, focus on the fundamentals. That means a strong resume, a great project portfolio like we discussed, and practicing for interviews. Tailor your resume and cover letter for each specific job. These basics really matter.
Don't skip the basics.
Nope. Second, be respectful and responsible. Approach interviews, negotiations, everything with a win-win attitude. Aim for something good for both sides. And if you leave a job, do it gracefully. Give proper notice, help transition your work. Don't burn bridges.
Good life advice generally. Totally. Third, and this is huge, choose who you work with. The projects might sound amazing, but the people you work with every day, they're just as important, maybe more so. Your teammates impact your learning, your growth, your daily happiness. The guide even says try to talk to potential teammates before accepting an offer, though not all companies allow that.
Interesting point. Team matters.
Definitely. And finally, get help from your community. Most people don't job search that often. Lean on your friends, your network, ask for advice, maybe get insights about companies, potentially referrals. Their experience is gold.
So beyond these big 3 steps, learn, projects, jobs doable, the guide also touches on other, maybe softer skills or mindsets that are key for a long-term AI career, right?
Yes, absolutely. Things that are maybe less obvious, but just as vital.
Like teamwork. Big projects need collaboration. You need to be able to influence people, share ideas, but also be influenced by good ideas from others. So communication skills, again, even if you don't think you're naturally great at it, you can improve.
Right. And community building, but framed differently from just networking. Eng suggests focusing on building up the communities you're part of, rather than just your personal contact list for your own benefit. When you focus on the community, the connections kind of happen naturally.
That's a nice perspective shift.
Yeah. Then there's personal discipline. Just good habits in life, eating well, exercise, sleep, relationships, learning, self-care. These things help you sustain effort and stay healthy over the long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
True. Burnout is real.
Very real. And lastly, altruism. The idea that trying to help others, lift them up as you progress, often leads to better outcomes for you too. Asking, how can I help others while I build my own career?
That's a great principle. Now, speaking of helping others and maybe internal struggles, the guide tackles imposter syndrome head on. What's the message there?
Yeah, it addresses it directly and very helpfully. It normalizes it. Points out that something like 70% of people feel it sometimes, even super successful people like Sheryl Sandberg or Michelle Obama. It's really common, even among top AI folks. And Eng's message is basically, it's okay. It's normal to struggle with this feeling.
That's reassuring just to hear.
Totally. And he puts out this really clear, welcoming statement. He says essentially, if you want to be part of the AI community, then I welcome you with open arms. If you want to join us, you fully belong with us. He even shares his own struggles, with complex math, tough debugging problems, making mistakes. It's powerful because it shows everyone faces self-doubt.
Wow, that's incredibly welcoming. Does the guide offer practical ways to deal with imposter syndrome when it hits?
It does. First, find supportive mentors and peers. Connect with people at meetups, like those Pi and AI events or online forums. Having people who get it helps a lot.
Your community again.
Exactly. Second, recognize your own strengths. You don't need to know everything in AI. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Just understanding even a part of it is real progress and valuable. And third, maybe the most powerful tip, help others. When you teach or support someone just a step or two behind you, even if you still feel like you're learning yourself, it reinforces your own knowledge and your sense of belonging. It actively pushes back against those feelings of doubt.
That's fantastic advice. Turn outwards to help inwards. What a comprehensive and honestly motivating guide. As we wrap up, Andrew Ng offers one final, really provocative thought, doesn't he, about making each day count.
He does. It's quite profound. He reflects on the limited number of days we have. He calculates his own at roughly 27,000 or so, and he poses this question to all of us. Whatever you're doing today, is it worth 130,000 of your life?
Wow.
Yeah, stark way to put it, but it really pushes you to think about the value of how you spend your time, your learning, your work, your choices.
Definitely makes you pause and reflect. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into Andrew Ng's roadmap for an AI career. We've covered so much AI as this transformative force, the new literacy, his core 3 steps of learning, projects, and job searching, and all the crucial stuff around that, like community, overcoming imposter syndrome, and those essential soft skills. It's clear that thriving in AI isn't just about the tech chops, it's about this commitment to lifelong learning, smart project building, and a really thoughtful, community-minded approach to your career journey. And if you're listening and want to learn even more about AI, explore these ideas further, or maybe find tools that could help you apply AI, perhaps even make some money with it, we definitely recommend checking out easymasterai.com. That's easymasterai.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. It's been fascinating. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building.